whatever way Enzo Maresca went tonight, and you've got to credit him for getting it right, but I think whatever way he went with his front line, I think would have been successful against this Barcelona back four.
Estêvão's special, isn't he?
Oh.
He is. He's got everything you want from a wide player. You know, there's a lot of good wide players playing throughout Europe at the moment, and he's one of those players that can go past people down the outside. He showed he's got a right foot as well, because he's a left-footed player when he runs with it. Scores with his right foot. He's got that bit of pace, and he looks an intelligent footballer as well. You know, quite a lot of players that dribble with the ball, do it at the wrong times, they run into defenders. It looks as though he's got a bit of that intelligence, football intelligence as well. So yeah, good player.
They've signed enough wide players, haven't they?
Yeah,
so
they've got to get it right at some point.
Modric is off and he's got his issues, and Pedro Neto's done a good job for them as a wide player. Gittins has come in. Obviously they lost Madueke to Arsenal.
Garnacho's the one that I'm still not convinced about.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's hot and cold, isn't he? But this young guy, I think already from a very early stage of him putting on this strip, particularly at Stamford Bridge, you can just tell whenever he gets the ball, people are off their seats, aren't they? There's an edge, there's an excitement.
Estêvão longed to endear himself to the Chelsea fans, has it? His dazzling displays on the wing have quickly reinforced why he was one of the most sought-after young talents in world football. Natalie Jedra caught up with him to find out how he settled into Premier League life so quickly.
Take-ons completed by teenage wingers in the top 5 leagues. He is most active down the Chelsea right-hand side. He's on 66 ball carries for the season so far. Ball carries when you're moving the ball 5 metres or more. The end location as well of these carries really significant, driving into the penalty area in a prime position as well, location for those cutbacks that we know Enzo Maresca loves. His longest carry as well, just over 57 metres, started in fact in his own half and ends in the opposition penalty area. Let's have a look at it. It's at just over 57 metres this season. You can see the talent there. And a recent study by the CIES Observatory in Switzerland valued the world's most valuable teenagers. Estêvão second on the list. He's already worth an estimated £104 million. And we mentioned him a little bit earlier. Lamine Yamal valued at a whopping £308 million. There are some other players that you might be familiar with on this list though. Ethan Nwaneri at Arsenal at £78 million, alongside his teammate there, Miles Lewis-Skelly, at £75 million. Even Lucas Bergvall of Spurs there, valued at £60 million. But Chelsea certainly have a real talent on their hands.
Yeah, they do, Dave. They certainly do. Carve's joined me on set now. Look, I mean, he seems to be being used by Maresca a little bit more as a substitute at the moment. He was certainly in the first few games, he played the full 90 minutes. He seems to be coming off the bench, and he's coming off the bench and scoring the most amazing goals, not least the goal against Liverpool. So I'm guessing Chelsea are pretty happy with this wonder kid that they've got.
I mean, potentially he's an absolutely incredible player. I've seen him play a few times. He's the kind of player you would expect to be playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona, not for Chelsea, with all due respect. And I think it's really important to point out that a lot of people have had a lot to say about Chelsea's has bought into that 100%. And also we've seen in the past, some players from South America have found it difficult to adapt to life in the Premier League. You know, living in and around Cobham in Surrey is probably not what Estêvão and his family have been used to, but he has absolutely embraced the lifestyle, and I think he's going to be an absolutely incredible signing for Chelsea. £104 million, they would not even sell you his left leg. You know, I think if you wanted to sign Estêvão now, you're talking about £200 million before Chelsea would even pick up the phone to talk to you.
It's fascinating. I thought that interview was really telling as well, that he even talks about his age. And he sort of says he has to remind himself that he's just 18, and it wasn't so long ago that he was literally playing barefoot in the streets, and that's how far he's come, and he has adapted. Why? I mean, I don't know whether you can answer this, Carve. Why has he adapted so well when perhaps other players, like Florian Wirtz, where we look at him, hasn't adapted so well to come from Germany? He's come from Brazil, and he's adapted so incredibly well, even though he says it's complicated.
Yeah, I've got to be honest with you, I'm not an expert on Brazilian football. I did see a lot of Brazilian sides in the Club World Cup in the summer, and I know from speaking to people who cover Brazilian football that the Brazilian league is still physically pretty tough. You know, you can't be a flaky player if you play for a side like Palmeiras or Botafogo or Fluminense. You know, you need to have something about you. And Estêvão is somebody who can handle the physicality of the Premier League, because playing out wide, you know, he's up against some very, very good left backs in the Premier League, and physically he's been up to the challenge. Whenever I've watched him, I've never thought this is somebody who's not going to be able to handle the Premier League. Maybe he would find it difficult if he was played through the middle at this stage of his career. I think that is something that's going to come a little bit later. But I think these are exciting times for Chelsea. They've got a big Champions League game coming up at home against Barcelona as well. Who knows, Cole Palmer may be back for that too. You know, I know Chelsea get criticised a lot, but they are building something special. People have made fun of the fact that they won the Conference League. Apparently that's not a big enough trophy for a club like Chelsea. Making fun of the fact that they're the club world champions. Apparently that's a, you know, joke tournament. But I think Chelsea are going about their business really well, and they have been successful in the transfer market because a lot of their signings have worked out. And I've got to let you in on a little bit of a secret as well, because I think Chelsea are working on signing the next Estêvão next summer. Because we've been making some calls trying to find out what their strategy is for the January transfer window. And what they've been saying to us is, look, we're working at the moment on big signings for the summer of 26 and the summer of 27. That's what these big clubs do now. They don't just decide at the last minute to sign a player like Estêvão. They identify these young talents and then they get to work on making sure that they can beat clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, and their Premier League rivals as well when it comes to actually getting them to sign contracts.
And I guess the good news for Chelsea is that not only do they get this 18-year-old player that comes and is, you know, playing people off the park at the moment, but he's also coming with a little bit of Carlo Ancelotti's nous at the moment, because obviously he's starring for Brazil as well. He's 9 caps for Brazil. So, you know, with all that comes that wealth of knowledge that he can add to Chelsea as well.
And of course, it's going to be a big World Cup for him next summer. You know, the World Cup in USA, Canada and Mexico. Brazil always are going to be one of the favourites. They will be one of the favourites, and he's got the experience of having played in the Club World Cup for Palmeiras in a lot of the same stadiums as well. And I think the conditions in the USA, Canada and Mexico are going to suit sides like Brazil much more than they're going to suit sides like England, because of the heat, the humidity in Florida, if teams play in Florida, and also the pitches. A lot of the Chelsea players, the English Chelsea players, were not happy with the quality of the pitches at the Club World Cup, the same pitches that will be used at the World Cup. But the South American players, like Estêvão, are used to playing on those kind of pitches. So I think he'll be one of the stars of the World Cup next summer as well.
There most certainly has. Oh, you lucky people. You get to watch this every week. And we had it for a little more than a year. And you could see right from the start, right from his first game, that you're dealing with a very, very special talent. And this is a talent which, especially since Carlo Ancelotti took over as Brazil coach, is of crucial importance to the national team. Estevão's first start for Brazil, he played a few times as a sub, but his first start was Ancelotti's first game as Brazil coach. And he's banged in 5 goals in the last few games, 5 goals between September and November. So he's a crucial part of Brazil's quest to win the World Cup next year. And I reiterate the point. Don't take this for granted. You lucky people, you get to watch this every week. And I think we've got probably now the first genuine Brazilian superstar to have chosen the Premier League. Usually they want Real Madrid or Barcelona. Estêvão has come to Chelsea. Please don't take this for granted. Well, he was known right at the start of his career as a youth player. He was known as Messinho, Little Messi. And when he got his break in the first team at Palmeiras, he scored a goal on debut. It's getting in at the far post, and you're thinking, you look at him and you think he's got no right to score that goal. And the opposition was a little team from Uruguay called Liverpool. And you're thinking back then, it's not going to be long before he's doing it against a rather more famous Liverpool. And guess who his first goal in the Premier League was scored against? You got it, Liverpool. I well remember his coach at Palmeiras, Abel Ferreira, saying, now remember, Abel's Portuguese, had a good playing career. He's coached in Portugal, in Greece. He's coach of Endrick, who was at Real Madrid. And I remember Abel in a post-match press conference, pleading in vain, of course, with Palmeiras not to sell him, but saying, this lad, he is different from anything I've ever seen. So, yes, I think comparisons with the top drawer are, all right, they put a burden of pressure on him, but he does seem to respond extremely well to pressure.
How much do you think he'd be worth if a club was trying to sign him now?
Considerably more than Chelsea paid for him, because he's already proved his worth, hasn't he? So he's already put himself, I think, in that space where almost no one can afford him. And obviously Chelsea have got him up on a long-term contract, and you can watch this every week. Please don't take this for granted. You have got one of the most exciting talents in the global game. I think the first genuine Brazilian superstar to play in Brazil when they're before and going to reach their peak. I'm not sure if all the money in the world could buy him at the moment.